So here I am today to talk to you about dealing with a rude, back-talking teenage daughter. And it's something that all parents have to deal with if you have a daughter. Maybe you have a friend or a relative that has a rude, back-talking teenage daughter, and you've seen how they've had to deal with them. It's not a lot of fun. So um, we're just going to start from the beginning. Okay, so let's play out some scenarios here. One is an example. You tell your daughter, hey, you're not supposed to do that because you can get yourself in trouble, or maybe, hey, I asked you to do something several times and you're ignoring me. So a lot of times, what a rude teenage daughter would do, and no offense to any rude teenage daughters or teenage daughters that are watching this, certainly not trying to make fun of you, but I think this is a pretty hot topic, and not to get off subject here, it's a pretty hot topic that parents search for to find better ways to communicate with you. No, how can I put this? It's pretty much a term that a parent would search for when trying to better communicate with their daughter. So don't take it the wrong way. We're certainly not trying to say you're some type of spoiled brat. I mean, unless you are. I mean, if you're a spoiled kid, get off your ass and do something about it and be a better family member. How about that? So back to the issue. So you've talked to your daughter. You told her, hey, please clean up your room. And the kid talked back to you. I don't have time. I'm busy with other things. And you're like, please, I've asked you 5 or 6 times. You still haven't done what I've told you. And so what'll happen is, you're going to get a lot of back talking. You're going to get a lot of huffing and puffing, and you might hear something you don't want to hear, like maybe a curse word, or they make some type of derogatory remark towards you, or maybe some hand gesture. I don't know. But here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to deal with the issue with anger. You certainly don't want to start yelling in their faces. And sadly enough, this is something that I've experienced and done myself in the past. And I'm not ashamed to share that because, as for myself, I've always found ways to grow and better deal with my children. Not soon enough, in my opinion. I wish I would have learned all this years ago. But hey, here we are now. So water under the bridge, as they say. But anyway, so you don't want to respond with anger. You don't want to yell in their face and say, hey, I fucking told you to get it done, or whatever it is. The way you deal with this, in my opinion, okay? So everyone's different. So every kid is different. But this might help you. The way you want to deal with the child is simple. Listen to what they're saying. And talk to them calmly. Rather than yelling at them, you can suggest something like, well, okay, I understand. You have that cell phone. It's not a right, it's a privilege. I certainly don't want to take it away from you, but you're not giving me any choice. So this is your doing. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to hold on to that cell phone until you do what you're supposed to do. And if you get rude again, what's going to happen is I'm going to hold on to it for a while, even if you do the work. So right there, you're imposing a taxation, if you will. Hey, I've asked you several times, now you're being penalized. No question, it's done. Okay. Child still might respond rudely. In fact, the kid might say something where it might insult you, or maybe it hurt your feelings. And we're human. Just because we're parents and adults doesn't mean our feelings don't get hurt. But what happens is this: you get pissed. You're like, oh, what the fuck did they just say? It's normal, but you have to recenter yourself. You don't want to get in their faces and start yelling and calling them names. I mean, I've seen some parents say, you little bitch, or, you little whore. I know. Or even the C word, and you know what word I'm talking about. C word for coochie. There's another word for that. So anyway, okay, sorry, I'm not trying to get nasty here. But there's parents that have called their daughters that. Not cool. You don't want to do that. It's going to cause more problems in the long run. And certainly scaring them and putting the fear of God into them will work right there and then. But, once they become immune to it, what's going to work? Now you're going to have to move to the next level. And that means getting physical, and that's something you never want to do, and avoid it at all costs, unless you know you have a child where you need to defend yourself, right? So let's just hope it's not there ever. But anyway, so you get angry, they make this comment, and they insult you, and in your mind you're getting so frustrated because you're like, wow, my child just got over on me and just insulted me, and maybe they were truthful in what they said. Who knows? I don't know. But you're pissed and you're confused because you're like, why is she treating me like this? I take care of them. I do this, I do that, and nothing is working. She's just verbally abusing me. Don't lose your cool. Stay balanced because they're watching you, and you may not know it, but you're teaching them. This is how they're going to deal with their kids in the future. So what you're doing now is going to affect multiple generations down the line if someone doesn't break the cycle. So you have to be that person to do it. You have to say, okay, I'm insulted, yes. I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to figure out why she's insulting me, why is she so angry, and then address that issue. And try to. Sometimes it won't work. Sometimes kids will go ahead and spin you around and around and around, and you're dizzy, and you don't even remember what the hell you're fighting about. So you have to stay on topic, you have to stay on point, address the issue. Don't compact it with other issues, something that happened 2 or 3 weeks ago or 4 months ago. I know it happens. I'm guilty of that. I used to do that. And sometimes I slip up and do it now. And here's the thing. Remember that you're human. Remember that just because you're an adult and a parent that you make mistakes. But here's the beautiful part about it is that you're taking steps to improve your parenting, to be a better parent and address your child and help them be a better parent when they grow up, or a better adult and a better teenager, a better person. Forget the labels for a second. A better person in general. Because when they go to school and they're dealing with their friends and dealing with other people and interacting, they're going to use those things that they learned at home, and it's going to, they're just going to put it out there. And so, we certainly don't want them dropping F-bombs on their friends or their teachers or, things like that. Okay, so back to the problem. So, you might have taken their cell phone away at that point. Fine. Don't take everything away at once, because then they have nothing to lose, and you back them into a corner, and so they might do something that's irrational, and you don't want that. But just one thing at a time, and certainly start with the cell phone. Cell phone is going to be a big one, because they want to communicate, they want to talk to their friends, and then you got to let them know, listen, this is something you've caused. I don't have time to chase you around and take your phone. I think actually you're quite mature. And this is you talking to the child, to your daughter. Even your son, I actually think you're quite mature. You're not patronizing them, and you're certainly not trying to fluff them up. You're being honest. I mean, I'm sure you think highly of your child. If not, I hope you do. Because if you don't believe in your child, then who else is going to believe in them, until they meet someone else that's someone positive in their life, like a teacher. But you're the first person, you're the first line of defense. So anyway, so you let them know you believe in them. You let them know that you do think that they're mature and they're capable of making good decisions. And at that point, you let them know that you're sure that this is not going to happen again. So you have the phone. And if it continues happening, well, the phone gets taken away longer and longer. And then let them know, hey, if this continues happening, well, that phone's going to be taken away indefinitely. It's just going to happen, and certainly don't do this to yourself, because I have no other choice. It's my job as a parent to teach you the right way of doing things, and you're making life difficult for yourself. It doesn't have to be that way. The only way you can truly communicate like this with your child is if you're not in their face and yelling and hitting, okay? Which I used to be a spanker. I grew up in a house where I was whipped savagely with a belt from the age of, that I can remember, 4 or 5. And, I never beat my kids with a belt, or I did spank them, and I feel that was wrong. So I say that this is good if you haven't gotten to that point, but if you have, you can stop now. You can go ahead and say, all right, I choose not to parent that way. There are many forms of discipline, and beating your kid or hitting them, you're going to regret it later. Trust me. So, okay. So let's go back to talking. Everything's talking. Everything is laying out, getting to the root of the problem. Again, when you're dealing with that one problem, don't jump onto anything else. Take care of that one problem. Put out the little fires first, then go after the big fire. A lot of what I'm saying might not make sense. A lot of people, myself 20 years ago, would have said, wow, you're full of shit. No way. This kid needs an ass whooping. I'm going to give it to him. Of course, I'm not talking about, using a spatula or a stick or an ironing cord like what was used for me. So, you don't want to do that. But anyway, yeah. So, and that's okay if you don't agree with me, but just process it. You're an intelligent person. Take time to think about what I'm saying and digest it and devise your own plan. And even if you take one thing from this video that helps you, that's great. One thing is better than what you had before you watched the video, which was nothing. So have faith, have hope that you can regain control of your relationship. And let me touch on that. I said regain control of your relationship, not regain control of the child. Now, that control thing is a myth. If you try to control that child, they're just going to run off. And they're going to hate you, and they're not going to talk to you. You don't want that. You want to guide them gently. Sometimes you have to get tough, but it's kind of like a dress. It's kind of like wearing a prom dress to a soccer game, right? I mean, why would you dress in a prom dress? It's a soccer game. So dress for the occasion. Same way, handle those issues accordingly. So if it doesn't call for being a little bit rough and firm, then don't do it. Gradually get there. Don't pull out your big guns all at once. Just take your time. Take a lot of time to talk to your child. Listen to them. Let them say what they want to say, because a lot of times that's the root of the problem. They're so frustrated because they keep being, yeah, but, you don't want to do that. Let them talk, even if you think it's silly, because it's not silly to them. It's their feelings, just as your feelings are important, and you want them to see you as a parent, that you're striving for them and pushing them to do better and teaching them about why it's important about keeping their room clean. Then listen to them about what's important and talk with them. If you don't do that, you can't expect them you can't expect them to listen to you, because they're not. Because you've taught them you don't have to listen. You can cut them off and say whatever. Feelings are not important. Let's just get down to brass tacks. That's bullshit. So, again, 20 years ago, I didn't think so. 20 years ago, which it's really common sense if you think about it, but 20 years ago, I had no idea, because I was raised a different way. Not speaking poorly about anyone in my past, or my parents or grandparents, uncles, whatever it is. I'm just saying they parented differently than I do today. And it took a lot of work. I wish that I had watched a video like this back then, because it would have helped me talk about these things with my daughters and my son. In general, it would have made me a better person, thus making me a better parent, thus making me a better friend, etc., etc., etc. So, good luck. It's not the end of the world. It's just a test. You make it into a big thing, it is a big thing. And if you don't sweat the small shit, it's just small shit. Oh, one last thing. Pick your battles. As a growing up in my household, and I don't want to say, a lot of people say, oh, you grew up in a Latino household. That must have been tough. It has nothing to do with freaking race. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, yellow, green. It doesn't matter. This kind of things happen in every household. It just happens. And these generations, some people say they're weaker. Well, that's offensive. I just like to say they're different. That's all. They have different things than we did, different technology, different way of communicating. Okay, I accept that. And so do you. You have to accept that.